So we're going to discuss another best practice that you can implement in your distribution center. These are, of course, need some more work. You have to design your systems, you have to design your processes and so forth. So this is not something that you can implement tomorrow or day after tomorrow without process changes, without systemic changes. But this is good to know, because when you're upgrading next time or when you're implementing a brand new, better WMS for your distribution center, this is something definitely want to think about, right? And this is called, this is about using ASNs. So an ASN is called an advanced shipment notice. That means you are getting a notice ahead of time that what is going to come to your DC, right? That means what are the benefits of knowing, what is going to hit your DC, what is going to hit your receiving dock, right? There are a lot of benefits. When you have information, you can plan better. You can plan better in terms of receiving, have people ready to receive the product. And you can plan, when inventory is arriving, you can plan your order fulfillment to some extent, right? So, an ASN stands for advanced shipment notice. That means ahead of time, what's coming, by date, by, sometimes by time. That's not always available, but at least by date, what is hitting your receiving dock door. So what does that mean? That means, what is the product that's coming and how many of them are coming, right? So the way typically it works is, as a retailer, as a distributor, as a wholesale distributor, or as a, e-com order fulfiller, you would place orders to buy your merchandise, your product from the Far East, right? From, China, India, Taiwan, Bangladesh, Indonesia, whatever countries the product is made. A lot of apparel come from there, obviously. So you would place an order to your vendor that's based out of those places, and they would ship against that purchase order, right? You would place a purchase order, you would give them, hey, I want this SKU A, SKU B, SKU C. It could be like a blue shirt, red shirt, and then khaki pants, right? You would place an order to that vendor, and the vendor would ship against that, let's say SKU A, 1,000 units, SKU B, 2,000 units, and SKU C, 3,000 units, right? Blue shirt, 1,000 units, red shirt, 2,000 units, and khaki pants, 3,000 units. So that is the purchase order you're placing, and the vendor is shipping against that, right? So whatever you placed is the purchase order. So that gives them legally, to ship against that. So that is a legal document that you have agreed to pay as long as all the conditions and the, quality and all that is met, right? So against that purchase order, they are shipping. So they are telling, hey, I am shipping all these product inventory in 3 containers or 4 containers or 5 containers, right? If it's coming from overseas, then they're saying, hey, in container 1, which would be hauled by truck 1, in container 1, I have, let's say, 500 of SKU A, 500 of SKU B, and 500 of SKU C, right? That is a shipment. So that is a shipment that's coming to your distribution center, and all right, this shipment has already departed the vendor facility, and this is how many days it's going to take to hit your port, and then from the port it has to be hauled to your DC. So what date this thing is coming. So what are the benefits of that, right? That there are a lot of benefits. One is what's coming. That means you can plan your personnel at the receiving dock and also for put away purposes, really well, because hey, by this date I'm going to hit this. These products are going to hit my facility, so I got to have people to receive that, right? 2, there is, something called cross-docking. Cross-docking is another best practice we'll talk about in detail. Now you have this information, you can allocate that inventory, whatever is going to hit your receiving dock, against a order that's going to against a distribution that's going to a retail store. And, so that gives you the ability you don't have to pull it all the way into the DC, put it away, and then, run your allocations against the distributions that have to be shipped to the store, and then, move that product to the outbound dock and then ship it. If your distributions to the store all the time, right? It's generally, from a retail perspective, generally pretty regular. So with that said, and this much inventory is hitting your dock, you can easily cross-dock. That means you doesn't have to go through all the processes inside the DC. From the receiving dock, you can ship it to the shipping dock. That makes it so much easier. Eliminates all the unnecessary touches that you have to touch, touch the inventory for, right? And then the third thing is, if you have a really powerful order management system, you can allocate that inventory while it's on the boat. Based on the time, based on the travel time, based on the time it's going to take to hit the a receiving doctor, you can allocate that product and you can even commit that to somebody else. If you know an order is coming, right? There are order management systems that are very powerful that can do that. And also you can plan automation to some extent. I mean, I have this customer, we have this customer. These guys, get a lot of these product from Thailand, and that's where all the manufacturing happens. And we all know, right? I mean, there is a big difference in terms of labor availability between the US and the Far East, India, China, Thailand. There are a lot of people available. So what they would do to get the best cube of the truck, they would just floor load every single carton. And when you open the truck here in the DC, in the States, you would see everything is floor loaded. It's fully packed. The boxes are fully packed and it's fully, loaded. So what these guys will do, obviously here in the States, is completely different. We don't have that many people. So we got to, unload everything, palletize nicely, shrink wrap it, or, if it's going to the customer, or just unload it, build the pallets, and then use the forklift to move the product. So the first thing that needs to happen is palletization, right? That has to be some kind of automation to palletize. So all those things you can plan in a much, much better fashion when you have an ASN. So, and these, this information is obviously already available in your, ERP systems. Usually the 856 is what the shipment status EDI transaction. And many people, exchange that transaction today between themselves through EDI. So when by looking at the 856, you can figure out what is the shipment, and further, matching that against the PO, you can figure out, what the, I think the PO transaction is 230 or something like that. That's again, of course, another EDA transaction. So you can, from the 856 and from the 230s, you can figure out, hey, what is being, shipped, what is in that shipment, and what is going to hit my receiving doctor. So based on that, you can create an ASN and push that into the WMS. So people know, oh, tomorrow I have this ASN that's hitting my shipment, that's hitting my DC. So I got to be well prepared. And day after tomorrow, next week, I have all this merchandise product that's coming to my facility, right? And it just, when you have information, you're able to plan everything in a better fashion and, optimize your labor. And you don't have to go running to find labor at the last minute. So those are some of the benefits, and I'm sure you would find even more benefits once you are able to visually see that in your system, right? So, would love to hear your thoughts. And again, this is not something that you got to do some work. You got to plan your WMS to, set it up to receive against ASNs and have that ASN downloaded. And there is some integration work from, getting the information from your ERP is SAP or JD Edwards, whatever it is, Oracle. So, that's something to think about and bring it up with your consultant, with your implementation partners next time. Hey, what about ASN? If you don't have one, hey, how about, doing an ASN? And actually it'll be interesting to talk about blockchain, because, the blockchain could even enhance the, whole ASN concept, even more, which we'll talk about it later. So hopefully this is helpful, and, would love to hear your thoughts, and, please share your comments. Thank you.